Jason. Today's episode of the Lee Summit Town Hall podcast is brought to the good people by Budget Blinds of Lee Summit.
Budget Blinds!
Did you know?
I know.
Budget Blinds is your home for the Signature Series automated shades.
All hail our robot shade overlords.
Look, if you are ready to make your home a smart home, do you know who to go to?
I'm going to say you need to go to Budget Blinds because really, if you're
I know
trying
it's
to make
like
your
it's
home,
like you were going to forget who the commercial was for.
if you're going to make your home a smart home, you are not inviting you or I into it.
Hey,
Your friends, our friends at Budget Blinds can help improve the smartness of your home. Even our home, they could help improve the smartness of.
Why are they so good, Jason?
Because they are our robot shade overlords, and they are benevolent, and we should be appreciative of the work they do for us.
So if you are ready to go find all of the beautiful things for your home window treatments and your automated window treatments, go see our friends at Budget Blinds of Lee Summit right in the heart of downtown. Tell them Jason next thing.
Hello again, and welcome to Lee Summit Town Hall, a weekly podcast about what you can do to make a difference. I am Jason Norbury, and as always, I am joined by a man who is glad I now have some soccer to get mad at instead of yelling on this podcast. It's Nick Parker, the publisher.
I have never in
of
my
Lee Summit.
life been more glad to have soccer.
How to make your friends happy about soccer? Just be really annoying without it, and that's what you get.
That's true. It may be the only way I've ever been happy with soccer.
Well, fair enough. But today I was happy with soccer because the team I root for won, and that was better than not winning, which is what they were doing. Well, they hadn't won a game in like 4 months.
Had they played a game in 4 months?
They hadn't played a game in 3, and they hadn't won one in 4. So we can tell that's how things were going. So anyway, Link to Lee Summit is still the source for all the news you need about our very fine city. And our unofficial sponsor today is one Patrick Mahomes II. Now, we're going to say this. The man has apparently been able to bring our fine city a Whataburger.
Well,
but Nick and I,
it ain't a done deal yet.
Okay, but I'm saying it would have been way better had he brought us a Taco Cabana.
Jason, that's just sacrilege.
No, it's not sacrilege. Look,
I don't know
lived
that
in
you're
Texas.
allowed to blaspheme the great Patrick Mahomes.
I'm not blaspheming. I'm saying that there's always room for improvement. He could go 20 for 21 with 6 touchdowns and no interceptions. And I could say, what about that 21st one? Why wasn't that complete, Patrick? That's always room for improvement.
Let me ask.
And I'm saying, look, I'm here to say, as a person who has lived in the state of Texas, Whataburger, and I'm going to break some news here. A Whataburger, just a burger, man.
Let me ask you this question, because we all know the real reason behind this is that he says that's the best ketchup. So if it were a taco place, what would you do if you saw him put ketchup on a taco?
Is he eating this taco?
Well, I would assume.
I think I would judge him silently.
Would you bat it out of his hand? Would you block the pass?
Yes, I'm going to start a physical altercation with a professional athlete, Nick, just for ketchup on a taco. First of all, it could be a breakfast taco. And while ketchup on eggs is of questionable moral fiber, it's not outside the realm of things that are done. But one, look, you could say this, that salsa is just a Texan ketchup anyway. So,
all right.
We're going to put some.
Well, there we
go.
Put
some salsa on it.
I think it is clear. Jason is anti-Patrick Mahomes.
I am pro Taco Cabana. Is what I am.
I'm just going to spread this
Taco
rumor.
Cabana. You're going to start that.
Yeah.
You're going to say that I am the only person in the entire metropolitan area who is anti-Mahomes.
Yes.
That's pretty rough.
For a donation to Lee Summit Social Services, I will give you Jason's address.
Better make it a good donation. All righty. Well, Patrick, keep it up. Bring more of these Texan chains. Once again, I'm going to say this for clear. Bring us a Taco Cabana, and I will forever and ever and on be a part of Team Mahomes.
There we go. You heard it here first. Hey, Jason, it was official tonight. Cast change for our favorite soap opera.
As the council turns. All right, so now I get to use Latin terms, by the way.
Exciting.
Sine die.
By the way, we are not starting the show off strong.
We are not, but there we go. I just wanted to say the council did a very small amount of business, mostly certifying the election results, and then adjourned what is called sine die, which is the official term is without a date. It's essentially adjournment without a date to come back, because that's the end of that council. And then they immediately called to order with a brand new shiny council and gave oaths of office and did all the things. And welcome to our new council members, Hillary Shields and Andrew Felker. And farewell and good job and thank you for your service.
And extra service.
To Rob Binney. And extra service here, your extra 8 weeks of service to Rob Binney and Craig Faith. Good job, guys.
We appreciate people willing to play extra innings.
That's true. They did. They held out. They were big on they had a very high pitch count, but they toughed it out for the team. They took one out there. Sadly, I think they both broken their public surface shoulders, and they have an ACL injury. What's that? Tommy John. They need the electoral
Tommy John surgery
they can come back and serve in another.
Is in the future for both of those. Look, not a lot going on, Jason, but I do want to talk. I want to talk graduation.
Oh, and look, are we going to talk graduation?
We are.
There's more to come.
Look, we're only, pushing into July here soon, but the on again, off again, back on again graduation plans for the Lee Summit R7 class of 2020. They're back on just days after making an announcement that they were shifting to a virtual graduation. The school district announced on Tuesday, Sporting Kansas City and Children's Mercy Park have stepped in as the heroes, and they will be hosting graduations on July 26th.
You started with on again, off again, and then the further you got in there, I'm like, this is the worst romantic comedy plot ever in the history. There's a pandemic, a soccer team. It gets weird real fast. But yeah, so the district had
it's a Marvel movie, maybe. I don't know.
To have a graduation, which apparently, at least at initial things, meets their qualifications for appropriate social distancing and safety measures. We have, in the second half of this show, an interview with Interim Superintendent Dr. Emily Miller, where we talk about that, and we ask her some good questions and some tougher questions as well about that process and what she went through with there. But as of right now, pending, another or a continued spike in COVID cases or whatever else may be going on, because as we know, you can't even make plans for until your bananas are brown. You can't even make plans that far in advance right now. Until we know better, this is the plan going forward.
That's right. So let's just shift right over to that conversation with Dr. Emily Miller. Dr. Emily Miller, welcome to the Lee Summit Town Hall podcast. I appreciate you taking some time to talk with Jason and I today.
Thank you for having me. Appreciate it.
Well, we want to, we thought it would be fun to have you on and we could walk a little bit through. Jason and I are nerds. We like to talk about process and decision-making and that kind of thing. But it's been a fun few months for the school district as you've had to learn whole new ways to educate everybody. And then we've been talking about the graduation dance. Is there going to be commencement? Will there be commencement? When? How are you going to do it? And we've gone back and forth a little bit recently. You had gone from some outdoor commencement plans at the individual football stadiums to last week announcing virtual graduations based on guidance from the Jackson County, Missouri Health Department. And then on Tuesday, we get a big announcement changing again that, hey, we can do in-person commencement, but we're going to go across the border out to Wyandotte County at Children's Mercy Park, home of the Sporting KC Soccer Club. How did we get here, Dr. Miller?
Sure.
Because that is a fast about face.
Yeah, we were excited to make that announcement today, but yes, I'm happy to walk you through that. As we went into closure, one of the things that we try to do is, really be mindful of that senior experience and, that culminating event for our students as they leave K-12. We really wanted to try to hold out as long as possible for an in-person graduation. So that's when we made that initial announcement that we would be planning a July ceremony at our stadiums. Again, the whole COVID-19 situation, that's been an evolving situation on a week by week basis, as we continue to watch the numbers, new guidance, state opening up, Jackson County waiting for their guidance. So, we've really kind of had to be on our toes throughout this entire process. But again, we felt very committed to try to do something for our graduating seniors. So that brings us to the next piece. So we were in communication with the county executive's office as well as the health department. And again, working with them and having conversations with them. And, at one point we thought we were going to be able to submit an individualized plan, which we did. But, the county health department really has to dig into a variety of businesses in addition to schools, and set guidance for multiple different agencies. And so the reality of them reviewing every individual plan and approving it we quickly learned that that was not something possible, and they continued to point to their published guidance. So we had probably 2 or 3 different calls on that. And last week, and it was a difficult decision because really we were holding out as much as we could. The principals had done a lot of work on creating that graduation plan at the stadiums, where we would have 2 guests per senior, socially distanced, a procession that was socially distanced, people wearing masks. So we really thought we had lined that out. And I have to give a lot of credit to our building principals in creating that plan. So the decision to move to a virtual graduation did not come lightly. So there was a lot of talk and dialogue internally about that decision. But at some point, if we were going to have a meaningful virtual graduation, something more than just a slideshow with kids' pictures, we needed time to plan that. That would be, contracting with a professional agency. That would be bringing students in their caps and gowns, videotaping them, walking across the stage, having their parents there. So we were trying to come up with, again, a meaningful plan. And so once we made that announcement, of course, grieving parents, grieving students, lots of sadness. Again, one more loss for our senior class. So we heard a lot of communication, but, we were fortunate. Children's Mercy Park actually reached out to the district, and they spoke with Dr. Don Andrews over secondary instruction, and really came forward with what we thought was a good, viable plan that was respectful of social distancing, that we could really adhere to, being very health conscious, only using 14% of their outdoor capacity in their facility, and trying to be really mindful about balancing honoring our seniors and also having a health conscious ceremony and events.
Well,
So
let's go ahead and talk a little bit about what that plan is. You said 14% capacity, and I honestly I can't remember what capacity is at Children's Mercy Park. Jason was trying to talk, but he put his Zoom thing on mute.
It's about 20,000.
So what are the other I guess changes? What are the other things that you're doing to try to keep to the social distance guidelines and all of those safety things? And I know, and we'll walk a little bit through Wyandotte County because their rules are a little bit different than what Jackson County is doing. But what are the things that you guys that was in that plan that Sporting KC put out to you?
Sure. So one of the things that they talked about was really, parents being able to go in and they would actually set the social distancing tickets. So each family would have the opportunity to have 4 tickets. And so they would actually schedule it so that, assign people specific seats, rows, numbers, which really is very helpful. They have practice doing that. And it really eases that piece. The other piece that we were looking at is, again, sharing with our families upon entry into the facility and upon exit out of the building, making sure that everyone's wearing masks, so that we're honoring that. So between social distancing and use of masks, we're really trying to be mindful of some of that guidance that's out there. And again, so you asked about the 14% capacity. So they can honor up to I believe 2,500 spectators. We'll have between 400 and 500 students on the pitch, socially distanced apart. And again, just being mindful of trying to keep people safe.
Well, okay, so let's follow up on that a little bit. So you were saying as they come in, they'll be asked. Now, is that going to be a requirement to wear masks, or is that just a request?
So that was what was put in our communication, that masks will be worn entering and exiting. So we didn't leave it as a request.
Okay.
So
Awesome. And so entering and exiting, I certainly see. So are they free then to remove their masks while they're seated?
Yes.
Or is that okay? So they're, and then are the, I guess, sporting or the operators of the stadium, are they going to be responsible for ensuring that the seating is actually adhered to, or because you could easily see some, if nobody's paying attention, lots of big groups getting together that wouldn't otherwise be allowed.
I'm not going to say it, but I've moved seats a lot in stadiums.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, like I've moved seats a lot in that stadium, so I totally understand.
Some of those details, Jason, I think those are all fair questions. Again, we made this decision pretty quickly. So in fairness, we still have work to do to really kind of lay out some clarity on procedures.
How was it to make? You did make that decision really quickly, and for big bureaucratic systems, that's rare. How were you able to move that quickly? And really a matter of days of saying we are going deep dive full into planning the best virtual graduation ceremony we can to pump the brakes on that. We can do this in person.
Well, I think that's the one thing COVID's taught us. We've got to be agile. And so we've had to respond to a number of different situations throughout this spring. And so, when you're given a plan, you make decisions with the best information that you have. And that's what we did moving to the virtual graduation. And then throughout a matter of days, another plan was presented. Had we had that plan to begin with, that was definitely something that we would have considered strongly in lieu of going to virtual, but we didn't have that option at the time.
Well, it sounds like you are not alone, as Lee's-Summit won't be the only district making commencement home at Children's Mercy Park.
That's correct. That's correct.
Well, let me take a couple of moments here and kind of take the skeptic side on this. So if most people aren't, as Nick and I are, avid watchers of all the news all the time and what's going on in government, but and I'm certain that you have been paying attention to this, as it has a direct impact on your services there as a school district. But in the last weeks, we've had in Jackson County alone, record week after week after week of new cases of COVID diagnoses. Missouri is now at its highest rate of new cases ever, including during the theoretical first wave back in March and April. These aren't signs of things getting better, and I think that most of the expertise that's been out there talking about it think it's not going to get better, at least in the short-term future. So, can you address that? That's a skepticism that we're not in a situation like we were at the very first, where everything is locked down, but really the numbers are, at least locally, as bad, if not worse, than they were while we were under the stay-at-home orders and during the virtual schooling time that you guys had. How do you address those concerns that people might have that that the school district is acting perhaps more rashly than the data says?
Well, and I think we, as you know, I think this is an issue where people have a lot of passion. And again, one of the things, this is not business as usual with the move to Children's Mercy Park. So if you actually go back and look at how we traditionally run our graduations, we'll have a class of approximately 500 students. Students are given anywhere between 6 to 8 tickets. So we're talking crowds of, 5,000, roughly 5,000. So again, being mindful of really, again, what those protocols that Children's Mercy Park would be able to afford us, even if Jackson County had approved our local plan at the stadium, I think the plan that we have with Children's Mercy Park exceeds that plan just due to the vast size of the stadium. So I hear your concerns. Again, it's really balancing that, trying to honor people through significant times in their life, and also really being putting in protocols in place where we feel like we can honor that event and keep people safe.
You know,
Well,
go ahead.
Nick, I got one.
Go ahead.
I have a quick follow up here. So who, obviously this sort of a thing, I mean, obviously pandemic preparation is not something that's on the day-to-day school district to-do list.
It has been recently.
It has been recently, but until recently, it really wasn't something that we spent a lot of time on or thinking about. So how does the district go about, what public health officials or public health information do you guys work with when you're making these decisions? Because, I mean, as you said, you kind of you try to go to the Jackson County Health Department, and their guidance has been sort of, well, we put that on the internet, you should follow it. How do you have internal people who help make that decision? And what, I guess the follow up to that is, what data will be looked at in the interim to make sure that we're going to continue to go through with this?
Are you saying go through the graduation, or just
to go
for
through,
reentry planning in general?
Well, I want to talk about the graduation. We can roll into the fall if you really want to, but I'm just talking about the graduation. I mean, so it is certainly not outside the realm of possibilities that if infection rates spike or continue to spike or whatever, we can go up a lot in the meantime. There are situations on the ground that it would make it so that the Wyandotte County or Jackson County or any number of other groups would make that decision that we can't for you. But are there metrics that the district is looking at, and who's sort of looking at those metrics, like what public health people are you guys conferring with to help make those decisions as to when you guys think the balance of it is safe enough for students and families?
Sure, and we have an internal team. So we have a district registered nurse. We have a safety supervisor, Ryan Hall. We have our superintendent's leadership team, and we're constantly looking at Jackson County's numbers. We've been, Jackson County Health Department, they're in a difficult spot and they're making difficult decisions. And they've been very good to respond to all of our telephone calls. We've been on a couple of calls with the county executive's office. We have Missouri School Boards Association guidance that we refer to for schools. We have a superintendent leadership team, or a team that we work with, the cooperating school districts, and especially when we're talking about graduation. Now we'll have to be watching what's happening with Wyandotte County and looking at their data as well. So that will be a part of the process as we move forward.
So, I have this question because there, like Jason said, there is the possibility, right, that things can change. I think I was talking to somebody the other day, and I said the hardest part about all of this COVID stuff is the answer to so many questions is I don't know.
Sure.
Are you still is there a team that's still working on the virtual in case, hey, we have to change gears again? I mean, is that something you're prepped for or not?
Sure. I have to, really applaud our technology team, our teachers. Lee Summit fared very well when we had to make that switch to virtual instruction this spring. We were fortunate a number of years ago, we made the decision to move to one-to-one Chromebook devices, K-12. A lot of districts did not make that decision. We also have a learning management platform, Schoology, that a lot of districts don't have. So we were poised to deliver virtual instruction very well. Are there things that we have learned from that experience? Absolutely. Are there things that we could improve upon? Yes. And I think what we've done is we've done an internal action review. We've surveyed our families. We've taken some input. So in the event that we have to pivot again, I think we're going to be better equipped with more information.
All right. So I guess we'll just ask, since we're already here, is that kind of what you guys are doing for the fall at this point? I mean, I know that the R7 has not put out an official plan yet, and I'm not asking for it because I mean, I don't
Really?
think
You're
we
going to
rate
ask her
that
this
kind of
question? She
scoop.
has like 3 days left on the job.
I know. Well, no, I'm saying,
That's
let's ask
mean,
this.
man.
I'm asking the process question, which is the thing Nick likes the most in all the world. What process are you guys going through to figure out what fall 2020 looks like?
Sure. Okay. And I'm going to leave it at process because we are not at the point where we're going to share our plans at this point.
I mean, you do have the chance to, once again, just throw the Dr. Buck right under the bus at this point. So you could do it. It'd be fun. It'd be great radio.
I would not
but I wouldn't
that, so.
anticipate it.
So yes, our team has continued to meet all throughout COVID, and it's been evolving as we've transitioned from phase 1 to phase 2. And again, we have proposed summer school plans in place for our elementary. That team's in place, and we're still working on the reentry. So I mentioned earlier that we sent out the first survey, kind of an after action review regarding our virtual instruction. We will be sending out another survey here shortly in the coming days, really to get a sense of people's comfort level, and that will help inform what that final plan looks like.
How do you balance all of those different things? And I know you're not the only one making decisions. Like you said, there are teams, and you also work with the Board of Education on all this stuff. But you have, and I'll go backward just to the graduation, where you're balancing the fact that this is a major life event for not just the graduating seniors, but their families as well. This is an event that everybody looks forward to. Right. How do you balance all of that? Like, we want to give them what they deserve, but you also have to watch all these numbers and all these different things coming from the health side. How do you kind of weigh all of that to get the best decision?
Yeah, and that's a great question. And what we've tried to do is we've tried to approach it by being listeners. And there's always the opportunity for us to do that and be better. And we've also tried to take it as a team approach, making sure that we're talking to our principals who are in turn visiting with our teachers, the staff surveys, parent surveys, communication with our board. They're connected with our patrons. So it's really taking in a large volume of information and really trying to make the best decision in the moment.
Really, can you answer me this? Will you just, at the very least, just promise that you'll take my kid back at school in the fall? The rest of them, I'm not worried about, but just mine.
Charlie is a delight, and you should be not so mean to him. So, all right. Well, Dr. Miller, thank you very much for taking time to talk with us. I know this was on a short turnaround, and you guys are in the middle of everything changing all the time. So we do appreciate your time. And, well, good luck in the remaining week of your interimship and then going forward thereafter.
All right. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Good night.
You have been listening to Lee Summit Town Hall, a Link to Lee Summit podcast with hosts Nick Parker and Jason Norberry. A proud member of the Fredcast Network, you can subscribe to this podcast on most of your favorite podcast apps and catch us every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday for all the news, analysis, and conversations on the Lee Summit community. Connect with us on Facebook at Link to Lee Summit or on Twitter at LS Town Hall.